So I am so delighted and really looking forward to this talk because this is a subject that we haven't covered as yet for Dream Palace. And Vassilis is an authority on Indigenous Australian dreaming cultures and traditions. So I'm really excited about this session. I got in contact with Vassilis because I saw an article in, I think, a local Athenian newspaper about a project that you did, a talk that you did with regard to the perhaps unexpected relationship or similarities between ancient Greek dreaming traditions and Australian dreaming traditions. So I'm very much looking forward to this. We are recording it. So if anyone misses any part of this, you can check this out at your leisure. So if I could just ask you to mute your microphone so that we don't disturb Vassilis whilst he's talking. And then if you do have any questions, please pop them in the chat box. And I shall hand over to you now, Vassilis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah, for the invitation. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to discuss this topic with you and our friends. And it has been an opportunity for me to look again into the dream experiences, which I, to be honest, haven't much explored in the past. People who deal with Indigenous Australian, let's say, life worlds, mainly focus on the dreaming or the dreamings, and not so much on dreams per se, because there's quite a difference between these three terms. And I will explore that as we go on. Now, my topic is dream experiences in Indigenous Australia, which of course could have been phrased dream experiences within the dreaming as a generic, and more encompassing term, because Indigenous Australia is basically about the dreaming. Now, of course, I will not be looking into all types of dreamings and all cases of dream experiences, but I have, I have chosen to focus on dreams that are related to innovation and creativity. Innovation and creativity within the realm of what we conventionally call religion, but what we perhaps more pertinently should be calling hierophanics, which is the experience of the hiero, the sacred. As it is well known, the term hierophanics goes back to the term hierophany, which is a term coined by the great Romanian historian of religion, Mircea Eliade. Now, this is more or less the way I'm going to start my talk, with my these sort of clarifications regarding the topic. But I think that some more clarifications are needed. Let me see if I can work now. Okay, I can do this and control the PowerPoint. So beyond those initial clarifications, I think there must be some other clarifications as well, because the troubling thing or the confusing thing is, what's the relation between the dreamings in the plural, and dreams, when we come, of course, to the case of Indigenous Australia. Now, the dreaming is a very, very general category, which pertains to all Indigenous peoples, all Indigenous cultures, all Indigenous lands in Australia. And more or less, it's what we could conventionally call the foundation of their hierophanic experience. Call that spiritual, metaphysical, religious, sacred, whatever. Now, apart from that, or beyond that, or if you even prefer prior to that, we have the little dreamings here and there, which relate to specific peoples, cultures, sites. And these are always denoted with lowercase d. And thirdly, we come to dreams as a psychological, experience, biopsychological or physio-psychological experience that in a way is related to these two dimensions, the dreaming, capital D, and the dreamings, lowercase d. Now, there is a relevance between all these three. First of all, the relevance is linguistic. By that, I mean that many a time, indigenous peoples use the same term to refer to the dreaming, their big, foundational concept of existence, and the dreamings or dreams. And this might give the impression that they are, about the same thing. It's very interesting to just think about for a moment why white Australians, basically, Westerners, referred to the foundation of Indigenous hierophanics as the dreaming. Why did they choose this word? And it has been, maintained by an Indigenous linguist, Eve Feasel, that the white man, the Westerner, basically dreamt up, this sort of meaning, because there's no such thing there. They didn't know the indigenous languages and they just simply misunderstood. Of course, this is correct, but at the same time, there is a relevance, as I said, because many a time the same word is used, the word to see, to find something, as the term for dreaming, dreamings, or dream. So hence the misunderstanding of the Westerners. Now, apart from the linguistic relevance, there is a factual relevance, a possible, as I say, factual relevance. This means that although the connection of indigenous people to their specific dreamings, personal, communal, collective, or even their connection to the dreaming, does not require the mediation of dream. They don't have to sleep. They don't have to dream it. Sometimes it happens through dreams. So there is this possibility of factual relevance. And then we have the hierophanic relevance, which is the most basic fundamental relevance between dreaming, dreamings, and dreams. As we will see, because in the life world, the experiential life world of the indigenous people of Australia, everything is the same, and it only differs in terms of degrees, nuances, shades. This, by necessity, means that my experience, my dreaming experience, a dream that I see, that I experience, is intrinsically of the same, let's say, essence with the overall experience. So it's not something that is different. It doesn't come as an intrusion. So there is an intrinsic hierophanic relevance between the terms. So although the terms do not denote the same thing, have a different, signified, they are related. And sometimes this relationship is, let's say, so close that you can only go from one of these three to the other through the remaining ones. Now, the state of research. One would expect, for instance, that there would have been lots of, works, research, scholarship, and there would be lots of literature on dreams in Indigenous Australia. Unfortunately, this is not the case. As I said, mostly scholars. And when we say scholars, we basically mean anthropologists, basically have focused on the dreaming and the particular, dreamings related to this or that land, environment, and surroundings. And they have not delved into the psychological experience of the dream. However, there is a very notable exception, and this exception is Geza Roheim, a Hungarian anthropologist who wrote lots of things during the 30s and 40s on Indigenous Australia, basically on the tribes, as they call them in those old days, of the Central Desert, around the area where, Uluru is, and just to give you a point of reference, when we say Central Desert, what we mean? We mean the tribes around the Uluru Rock in the middle of Australia. Now, one of his most famous works on dreams is Children of the Desert, Volume 2, Myths and Dreams of the Aborigines of Central Australia. Now, Roheim's approach was basically a psychoanalytical and psychodynamic approach. He was fascinated by Sigmund Freud, by his interpretation of dreams, and he basically applied this sort of lens in his study of the Indigenous Australians. Of course, for him, psychoanalysis was a kind of obsession, and he really tried to explain everything, and of course, dreams, through the, let's say, mechanisms of the unconscious, the Oedipus complex. He was very much interested in sexuality and the symbolisms of sexuality in dreams. Now, one basic criticism that has been leveled against this approach, and perhaps this was one of the reasons why we don't have a further development of research on dreams, was that it was regarded as too reductionist. And to a great extent, okay, this is true. Although we should not forget that Roheim's work is quite innovative and quite insightful in many respects. However, my personal approach is that dreams have to be approached as an integral part of Indigenous hierophanics. They are part of everyday life. They are part of ceremonial life. They are part of ritual life. And they don't come into experience as something foreign. They are natural. They are organic elements of life. So one must look at them in the perspective of hierophanics, and how they blend in, and how they, in a way, perhaps we could even say, how they facilitate the cohesion and the coherence of experience in a spiritual sense. Now, the hierophanics of the dreaming. Before we go into dreams, we just have to have in mind that the dreaming has been rendered before the, let's say, mid of 20th century, already from the 19th century, as the dreaming time, the dream time. And after the mid of the 20th century, it was a very famous Australian anthropologist, William Stanner, who coined the term the dreaming, taking out the connotations of time, not because temporality is not present in the Indigenous experience, but because dreaming, this fundamental, let's say, basis of Indigenous hierophanic experience, is not a pastime, is not about something that happened, but it's about something that is constantly happening. So he just wanted to get rid of the connotations of the past, of a sort of a linear time and temporality. That's why he preferred this rendering, the dreaming. It's all-embracing, comprehensive, and overarching principle. And in this sense, we could call it in Greek, okay, topos. Okay, topos, because dreaming for indigenous people is the land, the place, country. So these words can be rendered in a, let's say, more technical academic sense as topos. And this topos, this all-embracing, comprehensive, and overarching principle is invisible and unknown. This is very, very important when it comes to dreams. Because dreams bring in what is invisible and unknown. They make it visible and known. Now, the manifestations of the dreaming, this overarching principle, this or that particular site, country, place. And the place where I might be at this moment, or the place where I was born, or the place where I, hunt, or the place where I do this or that ritual. So this is called dreaming, lowercase d. And this is visible, and this is known. So in a sense, if the dreaming is a topos, this dreaming with lowercase d is a topophany. It's a manifestation, a revelation of topos. And what is very, very important, either in the specific sense, the visible, known, or the abstract, generic sense, the invisible and unknown, is sameness. This is an experience, a human experience of sameness. Nothing becomes other. Otherness is there, but it's there only to be transcendent. It's only there to play a procedural role towards more sameness, so that more and more and more and more an indigenous person can blend in and be part of the land, of the topos. So at the end of the day, otherness, transcendence, serves sameness and immanence. And at the end of the day, it's expected that it's going to be redundant. Once transcendence and otherness play their role, their ultimate role, and that ultimate role is played at death, then sameness and immanence reign supreme. And that's the basic objective. So we must keep this in mind when we refer to dreams, because dreams are supposed to bring out more sameness, more immanence, one's place within this sameness. Now, apart from that, we have what, again, William Stanner has termed the even when. So this is the temporality that we have in Indigenous Australia. It's a temporality through rhythm. Now, this rhythmic temporality is, of course, something that we know from Paul Ricoeur. He talks about the different kinds and typologies of time, like linear time or cyclical time. In Indigenous Australia, we have a rhythm. Something comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. It repeats itself. So that sameness can be realized. Now, these dialectics between the invisible and the visible, the unknown and the known, are played out in dreams. Not all dreams, of course. Not all dreams, or if you like, not even in most dreams, but through certain dreams. And these dreams are dreams that relate, as we will see in a while, to major life crises. Now, before we go into that, I would just like to draw your attention to what I've already, hinted at, which is the hierophanic character of all. Everything is hierophanic. Everything is sacred. Everything expresses the sacred, the dreaming, okay, which, can be, it's referred to in different languages in different ways. For instance, indigenous people who speak English are going to use the word dreaming, but they can also use the word law, because dreaming has a deontological, sort of dimension. It shows someone how they are supposed to live. But they basically refer to this in their own languages as, Alchiringa, Jukurpa, Wangar, Nyarangarni, Lalai, the different words for this thing. Now, this is everywhere. It's in everyday life, which is the real life situation. Maybe family life, it may be, hunting, might be food gathering, anything that, pertains to everyday life. And this is communal. It might be ceremonial life, which is the level of the symbolic, the significant, and the public. And of course, ritual life, which is the level of the imaginary, the heightened and secret domain, either male or female. Now, these are the three levels. Okay, we have a distinction between these levels: the everyday life, the ceremonial life, and the ritual life. Yet there is a coherence between them and an intertwinedness. Ritual life is the core, let's say, of human experience in any given indigenous life world. This, becomes broader with ceremonial life, and then even broader with everyday life. And again, everyday life refers to ceremonial life, and ceremonial life to ritual life. Ritual life is the most, let's say, private, and it pertains mostly to the individual. Now, once we have this in our mind, we can see that a dream can work, on all three levels, as we will see, because I will devote a large part of this presentation to a dream that took place in a ritual setting. It can take place in a ritual setting, and then it can come out and be, fleshed out in ceremonial life, in a ceremony. And then that can have lots of implications for everyday life situations, as we will see with the example I will be giving. But it can also work the other way around. A dream that happens, like a normal dream, but for some reason, takes on a ceremonial sense, and then becomes part of ritual life after, for instance, a course of years. Now, we have here at the top, I have mentioned these dreams function as a means of familiarization, preparation, and also provide a language of translation. This is true. This is something that, scholars ascribe to. And I wouldn't, negate or reject it. But I think that it's not, let's say, the thing that makes or brings out the, let's say, the specific quality of indigenous dream experience. It happens, dreams everywhere, in every situation, in every culture, in every historical period, make an individual familiar with situations that they are going or are undergoing. They prepare them for something that is going to happen in the future, and they provide a language of translation, an experience that can translate, the external into the internal and vice versa. So this is nothing specific for indigenous experience. Again, transitional situations, crises, difficulties, challenges. Again, it happens everywhere, all around the globe. It's nothing specific about the Indigenous dream experience. These points are valid, but we shouldn't just focus on them, because then we might lose what is specific. Now, in a very, very interesting article by Elizabeth Den Boer, we read, the soul leaves the body during sleep, and accordingly, both falling asleep and awakening are dangerous transitions. In Aboriginal Australia, there is a common belief that the soul of all living beings can travel during sleep. Therefore, it is considered dangerous to awaken somebody suddenly, for the soul might not have enough time to return to the body, which might even lead to death. Now, of course, this is a very interesting comment. I would say that it's a comment that, again, does not pertain only to Indigenous Australia. And as in many other, sectors, or with respect to many other aspects, when we attest something in Indigenous Australian peoples, this is already colonial and post-colonial. It's already mediated by an experience of intrusion. It's not, let's say, a pure, unmediated, pre-contact experience. And we cannot be sure what sort of dream experience Indigenous Australians had experienced before the intrusion, of the whites and the Westerners, and before they're documenting their experiences. So we just have to keep this in mind, because what seems to be in this sort of, passage and citation, a fear of dying, might not be actually a fear of dying, but pre-colonially, before the contact with the Westerner, might have been a fear of not realizing life's potential for sameness, for more awareness of the abidingness of place, and not the fear of an individual dying. Now, dreams are always related with rites of passage, rite de passage, rites of passage, and rêve de passage. The rites and these moments, birth, adolescence, marriage, senior initiations, death, basically all these situations in Indigenous life and an experience that are related to major rites. The most important rites are the rites of death. And as you can understand, these are the most important dreams, the dreams that relate to death. Now, dreams that relate to death are basically about a specific kind of death. For instance, when someone dies suddenly, when someone dies untimely, when someone dies by accident, some sort of accident. Now, in those cases, it's believed that the cause of death has been external. It's not normal. So someone is responsible, and this responsible has to be pointed out. And they are pointed out with a practice called bone pointing. Bone. They point a bone to the one who is responsible. But this responsible person has to be ascertained, identified through a dream. And this is the dream, in this sense, plays a major role in the process of the inquest. There's an inquest, so to speak, and the people who are senior initiates of a tribe, of a people, have to negotiate the meaning of dreams of the relatives of a person who has deceased, and through this negotiation of meaning, they will point pinpoint the person responsible. And in most cases, this has to do with some negotiation and reshuffling of the relationships and the politics between families. Now, a very important case of dreams, of course, is dreams that relate to spirit conception, birth. Now, from the very early days of Australian anthropology, Indigenous Australian anthropology, it has been pointed out that the birth of an Indigenous person, the conception of an Indigenous person, coincides with the entering of a spirit child in a woman. Again, these are documentations of experiences post-colonially, and they are mediated by the Westerner and how they understand, the information. So according to this, Western understanding, the substance of the land, the essence of the land, of the dreaming, we would say, parts of it enters into women, and this, let's say, particle with the forms a unity with the fetus, and that's how we have this or that specific individual being born. Now, this spirit child, which most likely is the dreaming just, becoming visible from invisible and known from unknown, again and again through its rhythm within the country, within the unity of natural, let's say, forces and processes, the transactionism, of life. Now, according to the documenting we have, this spirit child has to appear in a dream to its father. So it's the father who dreams, finds the spirit child. The spirit child reveals its name and its relations, connections to lands, specific dreamings. And then sometimes, he even places the child on the mother, on the navel of the mother, or mostly the father reveals the dream to the mother, and the mother realizes that she is pregnant. Now, although this is very, father-centered, there is a place for the mother as well, because no person in Indigenous Australia has one personal dreaming. So this father-centered spirit child might be one of your dreamings, but there are other dreams as well that come from the mother. For instance, the place where the mother will have, the first sense that she is pregnant, or the where she will, for the first time, eat something, and that something will create some sort of reaction. Now, these places and their respective dreamings are attached to you. But basically, this is the concept, around the spirit conception dreaming. Now, as you can imagine, the spirit conception dreaming is about self-realization, self-determination, and self-positioning. Once a spirit child, that is, once the dreaming reveals to a father to be itself in a specific mode as a spirit child, once this happens, the child to be born has already started being realized as part of a bindingness, or as part of the sameness of the land, has started being self-determined, and has started being self-positioned within the other dreamings, within the other sites, places, and so forth. So it's an internal interplay of place within which, you know, the father, the mother, and the child that is going to be born function as instances of revelation. The father, the mother, and the child are instances of the revelation of the dreaming, of what the dreaming kept unknown, invisible, up to a certain point. Now, the concept of rêve de passage, that is that of transitional dream, which is the dream that, you know, patterns, modifies, forms, and informs, you know, human relationships, indicates that this kind of dream accompanies major changes in life, such as birth, parenthood, initiation, marriage, death, and enables individuals to facilitate or to cope with these transitions with the help of cultural or religious images. This implies that, one, like rituals and myths, dreams can have a transitional function, so they can be modifying forces. B, dreams can support important changes in life. And C, in dreams, social and religious meanings drawn from the cultural environment may be creatively appropriated. And all this is fine. It's a very nice, neat explanation from a, let's say, conventional academic scholarly perspective. But there's more to it. There's more to it when it comes to Indigenous experience. Dreams are not there simply to enable a person, an Indigenous person, or to facilitate this person to achieve something. They are there because they are in an integral, intrinsic, inherent manner there. And they are there because they mediate your being there more and more. Now, I've chosen to refer to a very pertinent example of innovation and creativity with regards to the dream experience. And I refer to Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas was a Kukaja man. That's a Kimberley, East Kimberley man. And he's perhaps the most prominent figure in what came to be known as the East Kimberley art movement in the late 70s. However, to confine Robert Thomas within a Western understanding of art would be a total misunderstanding, because he's not just an artist. He's a visionary. He's a dreamer. Or if you like, as a dreamer visionary, he's an artist. Since his life trajectory encompasses the responsibility of retaining oral history, the ownership of designs, songs, and dances, the ceremonial and ritual knowledge of a lawman, and most importantly, the religious authority of a dreaming Nyarangarni. That's how they call the dreaming in the Kimberleys, innovator. He travels as a stockman and drover throughout the Kimberley region, as well as his extensive network of kinship affiliations, providing him with a wide range of experiences. Now, what makes the hierophanic dreaming performance of Robert Thomas, his self-realization, self-determining, and self-positioning, a compelling case from a studies in religion perspective is the experience of a number of revelatory dream visitations that he had receiving from the mid-70s onwards, and which resulted in the emergence of the Kurid ceremony. Now, we have the infamous, Tracy cyclone that devastated, really wiped out of the map Darwin in Northern Territory. Now, after this cyclone Tracy, is when the movement, begins, where the Guru ceremony takes place, because this man, Robert Thomas, dreams songs, dreams ceremonies, and stories. The Guru focuses on the spirit of an old woman who died as a result of a road accident just south of Turkey Creek, where a small tributary of this creek crosses the highway. The woman was a passenger in a truck returning from Halls Creek. Apparently, the driver was caught off guard by the unexpected water on the road. He applied the brakes suddenly. The truck skidded and overturned, and the woman was fatally injured. Her spirit came to Rova as he slept. Now, when we say her spirit, we mean her dreaming. So it's the place itself through the form of this woman. The woman is an instance, a revelatory instance of the dreaming of the place. Her spirit came to Rover as he slept, apparently during a break in a men's ritual. After that, the spirit came to him on a number of occasions, so out of the ritual, each time giving him more songs relating to her travels. The songs given or found by Rover follow the journey of the old woman's spirit. The songs are cryptic and evocative rather than discursive. The songs for the places seen by the old woman's spirit are said to be in the language appropriate to each place. Thus, Rover can offer no exact translations for many of the songs. So he has the songs, he has them in the languages, but he does not know the languages, but he knows them because they come out of him. This in itself underscores the notion that the knowledge relating to places is pre-existing and not the product of human discovery or invention. It is also consistent with the idea that spiritual agents are the source of the important knowledge upon which Aborigines depend. It is significant in this respect that previously unknown site names are not seen as new, but as blackfellow names that have been there all along waiting to be found. Now, I have quoted this passage at some length because I want to present an outline of the revelatory dreamings that Robert Thomas experienced, but also because this passage allows us to perceive the relationship between the communal, which is the everyday life, the significant, which is the ceremonial life, and the heightened dreaming capitals, which is the ritual, on the one hand, and to acknowledge the imaginary agency involved in religious innovation on the other. So when anyone wants to study dreams, and I'm just focusing now on these dreams through which innovation happens, creativity, religious creativity comes in, ushers in. Now, whenever someone wants to study these things, they just have to, stop being reductionist, and they have to really, look, watch, and absorb the phenomenon. Now, just to give you an example, I hope we might, I'm just going to press this link. I hope that it will come up. Control click to follow the link.
It looks like if you click that box that pops up, not that one, but the other one that was popping up, it should play okay.
Sorry for that. I hope I can make it.
Maybe right click on that. Oh yeah, great.
It must be somewhere.
Maybe cut and paste and put that into your browser.
Okay. It's here. This is, as you will see, as you will see, can you listen to me?
We can hear you, but we can't see the video.
Okay, it's coming up, I suppose. Just to give you an idea what exactly these dreams led to. It's from a performance in 2010 in Sydney.
Yeah, we can't see the video. Maybe is it showing on your screen?
Oh, okay. Okay, it's showing on my screen. Let me, perhaps I have to reshare.
Yeah, I think maybe you need to close PowerPoint and open up another screen.
Okay, sorry.
It's all right.
Just have to, I just have to see how I'm gonna stop share.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm stop share. Okay. I just think it's very interesting to see this. That's why I want you to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Can you see now?
Looks like it should work. Yes, we can.
The Grill tells the story of an old lady from Warman who, in 1974, passed away and needed to return back to her homeland. This journey was recounted to Rover Thomas, her nephew, in a series of revelations which he made into the Jumba, known as the Grill, which today remains a significant cultural event within the community. In this Jumba, dancers perform the story, often carrying painted boards which represent important events, ancestors and sites from the old lady's journey through country.
Sorry for stopping this. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yes. Now, this is what exactly I meant before. By the indigenous people themselves now are explaining, are really, giving us to understand what a dream is. They paint it on the board, they sing it, and they perform it. This is the explanation of the dreaming. The Western explanation is what I read before as a reductionist attempt to make sense of the dream. Sorry, but this is what the dream actually has to be regarded as. So we see on stage, in color, in rhythm, in song, the raw materials of the dreaming, and the dream that as a vision formed the experience of Robert Thomas. This is what we would say an indigenous interpretation of dreamings, to paraphrase Freud. Each one of the boards relates to a site, a place where the spirit of the woman found herself, passed, went, and revealed that to Robert Thomas through his dreams. So that's what each of the boards signifies.
The Jumba depicts places where the old lady travelled, like the township of Kununurra to the north of her homelands. From here, she witnessed the devastation of Cyclone Tracy, or Numaluara,
This is a
which
cyclone.
was clearly understood to be a sign for communities like Walman to adhere to traditional values. Other events in the Jumba include two fighting Jawadi, or devils, Gidja and Ula.
And so forth. It goes on and delineates each of the let's say the phases of her journey after dying. Now, of course, we don't have the time, but you never have the time for everything. Can you see the screen? Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can see the screen.
And you can see Robert Thomas here?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Robert Thomas went on, and throughout his life, he just kept on revealing these songs and stories and painting. Although he was not the first to paint, others were, according to his testimony. And that's how he became one of the most important religious innovators in Australia and in the Kimberleys in particular. This is one of his paintings, a famous painting called the Ruby Plains Killing 1. And basically, it's the depiction, we could say, the depiction of a dream. He doesn't speak about it. He doesn't explain it. He just gives in a raw way the image of his dream. It's about, this is the trunk of a tree. We could go on and on, you know. I've written a whole article about this painting. This is a tree, a hollow tree, a trunk, and it's stuffed with heads of indigenous people who were burnt by Westerners in the early 1920s because they were killing their cattle. And it has become a very significant site of remembrance for the Kimberley peoples. So I would like just to finish with that, having this image before our eyes to see what an Indigenous person sees when they dream. Thank you.
That has been so fascinating, Vassilis. Thank you so much. And it's such an interesting way of seeing the world and reality to try and get your head around as well. I really enjoyed your presentation. One thing I'm really interested in with regards to, because I know a lot of these paintings are referred to as dreamings, the technique of dot painting is interesting because that seems to express this idea of particles that are all connected and the pulse of life. And I've heard people describe the dreaming as something like a continuum of consciousness, that it's I guess a kind of fabric, that there is no beginning and no end. It's eternally generating continuum of consciousness somehow. But what's very interesting in these paintings is, you know, not only the dot technique, because that kind of suggests that everything is made up of the same substance ultimately, but the fact that so many of these paintings, especially when they depict journeys and stories, seem to have a bird's eye view. So that also echoes this idea of the fact that these people believe that the soul travels during sleep, that they're actually outside of their body. Are they re-merging with the dreaming at that point? That's why dreaming is considered to be so important.
Yeah, these are very pertinent remarks. I would say they're not just re-emerging, but they are really re-submerging.
Yeah, great.
Into the dreaming. They're becoming more part of it.
That's a lovely way of putting it. And I've had dreams myself where I've absolutely experienced that re-submerging into the dream. And would the dream substance be the same place that you go when you die then?
For them, absolutely, because they, you know, in a way, their self-realization, self-determination, and self-positioning is very, very specific. And the important thing in cases like this painting, all paintings, I mean, in Indigenous Australia of this sort are, as you said, regarded as dreamings. But this one is a dreaming that has been dreamt. It has come out of a dream. So this is what makes it important and pertinent to the presentation we have been doing, you know, for the last, let's say 50 minutes. It's not just a dreaming, but it's a dreaming that has come out of a dream as an experience. Yeah.
And is there something about, by crystallizing that dream that has happened, about reincorporating it back into the dreaming as a whole? Does it solidify that dreaming somehow, if you see what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole logic, the whole rationale with initiation and ritual and dreams, but life in general is to lead it to more and even more awareness.
Okay, great.
So yeah, if the dream allows you to be more aware of place than you were before, then this is a dreaming dream, not just a dream.
Yeah,
a triple one.
And are there entities of any description associated with the dreaming?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, entities like, you know, the rainbow serpent are very, very common in dreamings. In dreams, or the Kimberleys, the Wangina figures. You know, all this capital of figures, symbolic, you know, entities that in a way occupy the imaginary of Indigenous people. All these are part and parcel of the dreams themselves. So
are there any? Sorry, Vassilis, carry on.
Yeah, I just want to say, with regards to Robert Thomas, this old lady is very much related to water, rain, flood. Now, all these allusions to the to water are basically manifestations of the rainbow serpent. So the lady herself is as an expression, a guide through which Thomas relates and connects with the rainbow spirit, and
So
afterwards speaks on its behalf. That's why Robert Thomas has been described as an indigenous prophet, because he speaks on the behalf of the rainbow spirit.
So the spirit of the woman once departed is a kind of a psychopomp in some ways, helping
yes, you
him.
Could, you could call it that way if you want to draw an analog and a similarity, with Greco-Roman understandings. You could call it that.
Is it necessary for there to be someone who's departed the kind of human material realm to help a living person navigate the realm of these entities? Or is it something that could be accessed regardless at any time?
It doesn't have to be a deceased person. No.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a deceased person. It can be any feature of the land. It could be, a species of flora or fauna. It could be a phenomenon. Any elementary, let's say, expression of the land can serve this purpose. It doesn't need to be human. There's no human-centered perspective in Indigenous Australia.
I noticed, was it Robert that had the patterning around his eyes with the dots and the kind of mask around his eyes? Is there something significant about these paintings with regards to seeing or visioning things?
I would say seeing, because it's very, very important, especially I mean, it's very common in Indigenous languages when you refer to the dreaming to say that you see it. You see it.
Yeah. That's the same in a lot of ancient traditions as well. In Egypt is the same as well, that you see a dream. They use the determinative of the open eye. So this eye mask that he had around, is this something that relates specifically to like vision, like seeing the dream in that moment?
I don't know if I can be conclusive on that, but it seems that it emphasizes vision.
Okay, great. Alex, I'm sure you've got some questions. Is there anything you'd like to ask?
Mute myself. But yeah, I was very struck by this. Connection with place, and the person is dreamed by place, and the dreams connect with place, and so on. And I guess I just wonder from a Westerner's perspective, if that's the right phrase, a modern world perspective, how one might. I'm thinking that I can relate it to dreams that I've had of a certain kind of geomancy with kind of ley lines and stuff like this. And otherwise, I've dreams that I've had about significant places that I've lived and worked in my life, and keep coming back to these places in dreams. But I just wonder if there's anything that you've sort of picked up from this amazing lived experience of the magic power of place.
Yeah, Alex, if I understand your question, well, I would just like to say that, okay, we say dream, and as Westerners, we have a certain understanding of what a dream is, but that doesn't really correspond to the experience of the Indigenous person. Now, for the if I may put it, perhaps a bit crudely, it's reality. The experience of reality for Indigenous people is like a field, a transactional field where everything is connected to everything. And within this field, you are in this field, and within this field, you happen to find yourself at a specific juncture, at a specific time. And this connection is what we call dream. So the dream finds you at a specific juncture. You move within this field of transactions between animals, plants, climate changes, phenomena of the air, phenomena of the land, the ground, everything that takes place within this field, this transactions. And at some point, you are, let's say, at the right place, the right time. And that's a dream that enables you to understand what's going on. And while you understand what's going on, you understand what's going on with yourself as well. And you become more part of it. So what we Westerners call a dream is basically what perhaps we could call, by using an ancient Greek word, a Moira, Mira. It's your part, it's your portion, it's your place within the whole that pertains to you and gives you purpose. That's a dream, or a series of dreams. They just show you, make you aware of your Moira, your place within place. If I may put it, I don't know if I'm helping, if it makes sense.
I love it, Vassilis.
Right.
It makes this like deep intuitive sense that you don't really get from studying many other living cultures. I think that's what's so fascinating about Australia. It has this continuity with its spiritual concept of the universe that I find fascinating. And to me, it's like, it seems to be the place we should be looking when we want to understand how ancient people thought and felt about the universe. I think it's incredible to try and get your head around these amazing concepts where we are all inseparable from one another and we're part of the prima materia of reality in this way. It's interesting because I think you get glimpses of it in other ancient cultures, whereby there isn't this hierarchy of phenomena that you were talking about. There seems to be more of a sort of hierarchy of things and forms and material objects. And I love this idea of the dream as existing almost in this kind of liminal layer between the material realm and the spirit, or the dreaming itself, whereby you get glimpses of things that are emerging through the dreaming into material reality. I mean, it's an amazing idea. And I love the way you were describing that kind of that field, or that matrix perhaps of everything that the world is made up of, and you existing in that one point and experiencing the dream. It's interesting that there's this continuity between dreaming and your waking experience as well. I'm interested in
Sarah, this is a good point, the continuity between the waking and the dreaming states. It's like it's one thing, it's the same thing. It's not It's what, a famous Indigenous writer, Colin Johnson, which we know as Majuru, has called Mapen reality. Mapen is like a shaman. So this is a Mapen reality, because it's fluid, it's fuzzy, it's transformational.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had experiences in dreams quite often where I feel that sense, like you were describing, of being resubmerged into the collective field. And I've been contemplating what this experience of reality is, and one of the conclusions I've sort of felt quite intuitively, and that I think is really expressed beautifully in this idea of the dreaming, is that the whole of life is a dreaming. And like you were talking about, the point of dreaming is getting closer and closer to an awareness of the ultimate, the full dreaming experience, if you like, I suppose. And it's interesting that you say that the dreaming is this kind of ultimate journey towards death, where all of these things are realized, and the aim of living and the aim of being in this material world is to become more and more aware of it. And I've come to the conclusion that, you know, the whole of life seems to be a dreaming of some sort, and every day you become more and more aware of the ultimate reality until you die, which is the waking up to the ultimate reality. Perhaps, is that something that fits with the Indigenous Australian belief in?
It fits, yeah, it fits, because dreams, the dream experience in Indigenous Australia at the end of the day is an experience that, you know, is supposed to anticipate death. You know, and prepare, if it prepares for something, it's not just to, you know, facilitate the transition through a crisis. It prepares one so that they face the ultimate challenge of their becoming one in the place, which is going to happen with death. So in this sense, the dream is also a death experience.
Great. And are there accounts of things like group dreaming or precognitive dreams within the dreaming culture?
As far as I know, no. As far as I know, I wouldn't say that I have come across that.
Great. And
have you read something, or are you referring to
no,
something?
I just wonder, because it's something that you tend to see in ancient cultures, and I'd be surprised if there wasn't some sort of precognitive aspect to dreaming, especially with regards to this idea, this almost oracular way, I suppose, of seeing the world, whereby everything is contained within everything else, and therefore if you can understand and recognize the patterns, pulses, and rhythmic nature of reality, then you can predict and anticipate things that are likely to occur in the future based upon your understanding of the organization and rhythm of the world.
Yeah, I suppose because sameness is so much a force, a driving and informing force in Indigenous life worlds. It creates a sense of abidingness that, you know, things will be done, will, you know, take place in a certain way. So prediction as such isn't quite, you know, the an objective.
No,
Of
but
course
perhaps
we know post-colonially that certain movements of prophecy did develop that were, you know, announcing certain future events based on dreamings. But this is a totally different area. It's very interesting. Yeah, because it's like envisioning the future. Okay, the whites came in and they took everything. So what's our future? What's the future of the land? So this created some sort of, you know, cults and movements that were oriented towards envisioning the future, which was a future of doom for the whites and a future of, you know, reestablishment, reinstatement for the blacks. So in this sense, yeah, there was a oracular element, but this has to do with very, very specific cults.
That's fascinating, because that really echoes the work of the anthropologist Charles Stewart. I don't know if you've read about his research into the kind of age of anxiety in Greece, in certain island cultures, whereby because they were under threat, this was something that was manifesting in dreams quite a lot, and it was resulting in these prophetic dreams of the discovery of icons, for example, that could bestow blessings on certain communities. Really interesting phenomenon. It seems to happen. There's an Egyptologist that we've interviewed for this, who specializes in ancient Egyptian dreams, and she's trying to track ages of anxiety, because, for example, like we had this huge change in humanity's dreaming patterns following COVID. In other smaller communities where they are similarly under threat, it influences the sort of dreams that they have. So it's interesting you mentioned prophecy there, because also there's that dimension of prophecy that doesn't pertain exactly to predicting the future, but the revealing of the truth, which I think is really interesting and probably more important in ancient dream cultures than predicting like exact outcomes. It's all just been so interesting. I could talk to you for hours about this, Vassilis. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Thank you. I thank you.
It's been such a pleasure.
For the opportunity.
Any other questions? I've just noticed that Kaz and Harry have joined us late, so you can catch up with the recording of this later on. It's been absolutely amazing, super interesting to get this entirely different perspective on dreaming. And yeah, I think it really does inform the traditions in Egypt and Greece, because I think they all stem from this view of reality as being this continuum of consciousness ultimately. And very often the idea of things such as the place you visit during dreams is the same place that you visit when you die, and that messages can come from the dreaming into the real world to materialize new events. Thank you so much, Vassilis. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Thanks a lot, and I wish all the best to the whole endeavor.
Thank you so much.
It's been very good.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. It's brilliant. It's so great to have your input on this, because it's good. You know, it's I'd love to talk to Indigenous Australian people about their idea of these things now. I think that they're the kind of wisdom keepers of this
absolutely,
understanding of reality. So thank you so much. That was absolutely fantastic.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. I should just tell you that, hang on, when's our next meeting? Let me just check. I'm currently in Epidavros, and I've just installed Wi-Fi in my peach bungalow. So I've just trying to keep up with what's going on. So tomorrow we have Daniel Oldis, who kind of the other end of the dreaming spectrum is an expert in dream recording, and so he's going to be talking about creating dream images by using EEG and kind of reverse engineering the kind of brain waves and the movements that you get and the images that you can capture from particular brain activity and creating films out of it. So he's basically recording dreams. And one of the other experiments he's been doing, he's a sleep lab dream researcher based in California. One of the other areas of research he's kind of pioneered is using electromyography to record dream speech, because apparently when you're dreaming and you're talking to someone, your voice box does actually make the micro movements associated with the words that you're saying. So he's been using electromyography to try and record dream speech and play it back. So that's what's happening tomorrow at 6 o'clock UK time. So that should be an interesting one. Almost like the exact opposite of Vassilis's talk there, where everything is connected. But yeah, a nice change. Thank you so much, Vassilis. That was brilliant. Thank you to everyone for coming along. And Bye-bye. As I say, this is recorded, so you can watch this whenever you like as well. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye, wherever you are in Bye-bye. The world. Oh, good night, Vassilis, as well. Sweet dreams to you.
Good night. Yeah. It is.
Bye.